I believe that, like I said yesterday, when we are talking about income generation, money, education, one thing I would have loved to do, which Mr. Dayo has done already, so I wouldn't like to go back to that because of our time, is to ask each and every one of us to tell us what you learned yesterday. But I believe a few of us have spoken and heard us, so I won't go back to that. So, yesterday, for the sake of us who were not around, we talked about deceptions of salary, and I told you how salary is actually the major reason why many people will not fulfill their potential. It is the major reason. And the next thing for us to do is to ask ourselves, I asked you yesterday, why are we here? Everything boils down to money. You want to make more money, you want to increase your options. It's not a good thing in life when you have a dream that this is the kind of school you want your children to go, but you don't have the money to send them to that kind of school. It's not a good thing. So you want to increase your option, you want to be able to do more for yourself and the people that you love, the people around you. So since we have been able to establish that, I should have removed this earlier. So since we've been able to establish that we need education along the lines of finances, business, and things like that, then the next thing we should ask ourselves is, how do I go about this education? I said yesterday, age is not a factor. What is the key issue in this matter is, are you willing to pursue that kind of knowledge, irrespective of, some people would think, what am I looking for again at this age? But you see, I don't know the person particularly, but I have been told of someone that after she always desired to be educated, she wanted to be educated, but she didn't have the privilege to go to school. So she struggled and raised her children. She sponsored her children to school by doing petty businesses and all that. And when she has finished training all her children to university level, she herself now went to register in a school. She now, educated, she now went to school, adult education and things like that. And then before she knows what's happening, I think she graduated at the age of 65 or so. And then she kept on, did her master's, and I think it was even in the news then. For those of us that read news, it was in the news. She became a professor before she was 70 years or so. She became a professor. She had a PhD. Was it? Yes, she had a PhD. So what am I trying to say? It is only you that you can set limits on how far you are willing to go. Yesterday, Mr. Dayo was telling us about books and different things that he has learned in books. I told us yesterday that in wealth creation is not something you can do alone as an individual. And I gave us that proverb of Yoruba people yesterday that says, so what that means is that there is an understanding of networking that you must have in when you are trying to pursue wealth. So you have to, that's why coming to a program like this is very important, connecting with people that know what you don't know, that have what you don't have, is very, very key. So that is that. And then the next thing that I also mentioned yesterday is the fact that you have not found anyone that is wealthy that doesn't have somebody in their life that is mentor to them. You see, many people know what to do, or let me say, a few people know what to do to be wealthy. Because in the process of creating wealth, discipline is a key factor. Discipline is a key factor. But the point is, not everybody can discipline themselves. So part of what a mentorship relationship does for you is to put you in an accountability setting. Somebody that is helping you to check on what you are doing, somebody you are giving report to, it's not a function of age. You understand? Somebody that can tell you, okay, you told me that your goal, your financial goal for the next 6 months is this. So how have you gone on that? Let me see your savings. Let me see your expenses profile. Let me see your, some of a coach will put you on a program and then he will demand compliance to that program. So that's how they help people produce results in their lives. If wishes were horses, beggars will ride the best of them. So there are certain things in life that won't come by wishing. They will come by you putting your leg on the road and applying certain principles. Some of these principles are not easy for us to apply because we've been used to a particular way of life. And this is where coaches come in to help us demand compliance, and then we report to them, and then they help us produce the result that we are looking for by enforcing certain things. So now, the final thing I will say, to wrap it up today is this. Because like I said, I can't tell you, I probably can't tell you everything that I have to tell you. I can't tell you in this short time. So the last thing I will be talking about, which is very critical, very important, is the fact that I mentioned yesterday that every single person that is on this earth has something in them that can generate wealth. A natural, let me not say natural, let me call it a gift that God has given you that can generate wealth. Okay, and it's not a function of education, it's not a function of age. Some people, what God has given them is the ability to talk. Okay? For some of you that are sitting down here, as you are sitting down listening to me, you probably know certain things about yourself that you know that this thing is just like a gift for you. That even when people look at you, they normally tell you that you are very good in this area, you are very exceptional. Anytime you get to talk or anytime you get to do something around that gift, it's not something you learned, but somehow you just find yourself exceptional in that area. And anytime you do it, it's like people celebrate you for it. Most likely, that is also an area that your wealth is connected to. Okay? Now, I said yesterday that everybody has something like that, but not everybody has recognized it. And not even for those that have recognized it, not everybody knows how to bring it out and how to process it for it to start bringing money. Okay? Gold is good, gold is expensive, but have you seen raw gold before? How many of us have seen raw gold before? If you see a raw gold and you are trying to sell it, nobody will buy it, except for people that know the value, or people that want to buy it for the purpose of refining it and turning it into business. You understand? Raw gold is not attractive. It's not attractive. How many of us have seen diamond before? Okay, how many of us have seen, maybe we have an idea of what diamond looks like? It's part of what they use to make expensive jewelry and all that. How many of us have seen charcoal before? Charcoal. Most of us have seen charcoal. If they told you that diamond came from charcoal, would you have believed? Do you understand? But diamond is an expensive commodity. It became that expensive because they put charcoal through a process. Do we understand? So the first thing is, have you known that thing that God has given you for you to generate wealth? It's very, very important. If you don't know it, then the next line of action for you will be that I must find it. Everybody has it. If you haven't found your own, it's a different matter altogether, but everybody has something like that. That's one. Secondly, if you have found it, you may have found that you are just an exceptional talker. There are some people, when they pick their pen like this, even without thinking, what to write will start flowing. Alright? They are very good writers, and if they write anything, people always want to read what they write. You understand? So you have discovered a particular gift in your life, but for the past 15 years, you can't say that this is how that gift has benefited you. Alright? So if you are in that category, what you want to focus on, and the next line of action for you will be, okay, how do I take this gift that I have recognized in myself, and how do I convert it into something that is bringing money for me? Because the easiest road to wealth is to discover that gift that God has given you. There are some people that you may be like that when you sit down like this, ideas always run through your mind. Do you understand? Most likely, that is an entrepreneur. You're always thinking about solutions to different problems. How can we do this differently and things like that? Ideas are always flooding your mind. I'm just giving us all these examples to help us relate. Your own may be different. You understand? But everybody has something. Everybody has something. So now, I will say that if you look at the Norland presentation that Mr. Dayo did for us yesterday, I want to make a few comments on that. Why? Because this is an opportunity that you can capitalize on. But apart from the fact that you will sell product and make money, apart from the fact that Norland will pay you different dividends, part of what this kind of belonging to this kind of a network, part of what it does for you is that it also helps you to discover things about yourself that you didn't know were there before. Alright? You will, by the time you interact at that level, you begin to see things. I remember there was a time that I can't stand in front of people like this to talk to people. I'm always afraid. I can't just do it. And I remember back then in my church, anytime they say people should come and give testimonies, I have testimonies, but I can't just come out and say it, until I began to realize that, I know I have the gift to motivate people and all that. But how do you motivate people when you can't stand in front of them to address them? When you can't talk to them and things like that. So I had to start looking for ways of, and then one day, I remember it was a crossover night, that first night of 1st January. And then they said you have testimony and things like that. So you go and register that. So I just forced myself. I had to go to tell the person in charge, and then eventually they will call you out and ask you to come and tell the church what your testimony is. And then the time came, they called people out, and I also came out. And so what I want to bring up from that story is that at a point in my life, I had to decide to do something that I wasn't able to do before. And that was a major point. From that time, I actually realized that if you come out in front of people and speak, nothing is going to happen to you. You understand? The faces of people is not going to do anything to you and things like that. So I discovered that I can talk to people and get them to move. Some people, what they have in them is leadership, different things that different people have. But the first thing is you have to find it. You have to discover what is that thing. Then the second thing is you have to find out what do you do and how do you process that gift until it starts bringing money for you. Okay? When you discover it, it is one thing that people will always be ready to pay you for. Do you know that there are some people that they say they are MCs? And if you know how much people pay them just to come and do MC, you will be amazed. Some of us, some people can't make that money in 2 years of working. What they pay them in 1 day to do MC. Do you understand what I'm saying? There are some people, they are singers. And when people invite them to come and sing, the amount of money they give them, some people can't work to make it in a whole year. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So, as you are, there are so many things you can do, you know, to create wealth and things like that, but this is a major one. Okay? And that's why I said yesterday is that salary job is the reason why many people don't discover their gifts. Even for those people who have discovered it, salary job is one major reason I found out that many people are unable to process it and, you know, bring it to a place whereby it's bringing wealth to them. So, what are we going to do to solve these two problems? Whether your own is you want to discover it, or your own is you discover something that you have, or you want to know how to process it to become something that you can be generating wealth from. Now, how do we solve this problem? The problem can be solved by what I call coaching. Alright? What did I call it? Coaching. Coaching. How many of us are familiar with the word coaching? When we were in secondary school in those days, we have coaching classes, you know, that we go to, they teach us more about what we have learned in school, and then it helps us to be better prepared for exams and things like that. So coaching. Now, I mentioned earlier what coaches do for us. For some of us, 30 minutes discussion with a coach. Some of us, it may take 1 hour discussion with a coach. Some of us, it may take 1 week discussion with a coach and interaction, different assignments will be giving you. Okay, go and do this, go and do this, go and do this, and you report back. At the end of the day, we will be able to help you pinpoint that, okay, from all these parameters, this is likely going to be something that your natural ability and your wealth flow is connected to. Okay, so we have identified something. I said yesterday that some people have more than one. Some people have as much as 10. You can imagine having 10 gifts in your life that you are not utilizing and is wasting away. It's supposed to be bringing money to you, but you are not making any money. Alright? And then some people live and die without putting all those gifts to use. So we can't afford to do that. So you found it, then the next thing will be, okay, what can you do to begin to, some people, okay, let me give you this example. I am one of the people that believe that irrespective of who you are, irrespective of your background, everyone has got an experience and a story to share. So I'm one of the persons that tell people that you can write a book. You can write a book. In fact, writing a book is one of the ways by which you can leave legacies behind. Writing a book is one of the ways you can contribute to the solution that our society needs. Do you understand? Some of us, we are full of ideas that you are busy in your house, you are discussing with your neighbors how the problem of Nigeria can be solved. But the people that need to implement that kind of idea, they can't even hear you from where you are saying. So how do you get the message across? How do you get the information out? How do you can do it by writing a book. Do we understand? I wrote a book. The title of that book is The Trap Called Salary. You understand? Everything I've been teaching you yesterday, today, they are from that book. Do you understand what I'm saying? The Trap Called Salary. Many people, the kind of people that easily fall into that trap are the people that are earning salary, that their salary is supposedly fat. Maybe you are earning a lot of money as salary, maybe 500,000 every month, for instance. They are the kind of people that it will be very difficult for them to come out of that trap. But you see, can you compare earning 500,000 naira a month? Can you compare it with being in that routine? Compare the two. if you are given an offer and say, okay, I have a power that can turn you into whichever one you choose within 5 minutes, but you have to choose one. The two options is choose to be the next Dangote or choose a job that will pay you 500,000 naira every month. Which one will you choose? Which one will you choose? So the higher your salary, the more difficult it becomes to look inside of you and see that you also have what made Dangote who he is. You also have something. Your own may not be business like Dangote's own, but you also have something in you that can put you at that level of wealth and popularity and achievement and success like Dangote has. Do we understand that? So I will give us an assignment, and I want us to write it down. So this is the assignment. I will dictate it, and then I actually want us to make it that, but most of us complain we didn't have our data, we don't have data, we don't have phone and things like that. So I'll just give you the assignment, then you go back home, think about those questions, provide answers to them, and then if you feel you need further engagement and further interaction on this, then we can discuss. Do we understand that? The first question is this. The first question is this. What am I doing currently? Like, what am I doing now? Am I a salary earner? Am I into business? Am I a student? Or am I a job seeker? We did that yesterday. Then the next level, because it is important for us to be able to sectionalize different problems. This is what doctors do when you go to the hospital, they diagnose. The next thing is, how much is my income per month? Write it down. How much do I make per month? Go on, there is something. Per month currently. Now, the next question is, how much is my expenses per month? How much is my expenses in a month? Okay? Now, the next thing is compare your income and your expenses and then choose out of the following positions. My income is able to cater for all my needs conveniently. I am okay. That's the first level. Yeah. So I said the next stage is compare your income and your expenses and choose between the following positions. Your expenses and choose between the following positions. The first position is my income is able to cater for all my needs conveniently. I am okay. That's level 1. So I won't rush it so that I can write. I can see some of us are not writing anything. That's not, it's not going to help you too much. If you need, I think I have 2 pens here. I can borrow. If you need pen, can you help me? So borrow a sheet of paper from somebody and please make sure you are right, because what we are doing here, what I'm doing for you here is what some people pay a lot of money to get. So the fact that it's not, you are not paying for it should not make you miss the value that you should get from it. So let's do the exercise. So I said, who can give me the first thing that we said? The first level. What am I doing currently, okay? And then the second thing is, how much do I make per month? What's my income per month? Then the third thing is what?
Expenses.
What is my expenses in a month? For some of us, you will need to do a lot of thinking before you can put together how much your expenses. But for most of us, you already know some things that are like basic things that you spend money on every month. You know, school fees, food, transportation and things like that. So at least you have an idea of how much you spend in a month. Okay, so I now said that the next stage is compare your income and your expenses in a month and choose between the following positions. Then I said the first position is still under the third point. I think we understand.
Yes.
So we are still in number 3. So everything we are doing now is still under number 3. So I said compare your income and your expenses and choose between the following points. The first position is my income is able to cater for all my needs conveniently. I am okay. That's one. Are we there? So the next position is this. My income is barely able to cater for my needs. Maybe you still need to probably borrow here and there to be able to meet up. Then that is the second position. That is, my income is just sufficiently okay for my needs. I will tell us why you are writing those things down. I would explain. So that means if you look at your expenses and you look at your income, maybe it's just about equal. Maybe you make 20K in a month, and then you look at your expenses, maybe it's around 19.5, 20K, 25, 21,000. So the gap is not too much. Do we understand? The first one is your income and your expenses, there is gap on the negative side. So your expenses is more than what you make. The second thing is it's just about the same amount. Okay? But maybe sometimes you need to borrow some extra amount of money to balance out and things like that. Then the third position is my expenses in a month is far ahead of my income. Or if you want, you can put it like this: my income is not able to take care of all my expenses at all. So this is diagnosis we are doing. So the first level is your income is far more than your expenses, so you are okay. And I will tell us the implication of the three levels. The second one is my income is almost equal, like maybe around the same amount with my expenses. So if you are in that class, you may not immediately see that there is problem, all right? Because you really don't have need to borrow, but you are able to meet all your needs at this time. But it's not a safe place to be as well. But the third level is my expenses is far ahead of my income. That is, what I am making in a month is little compared to my expenses and when I talk about expenses, I'm talking of basic needs. You understand? I'm not just talking about luxury. I'm talking about your basic needs that you need to. For example, as you are seeing me standing here, let me tell you the truth. I can't remember the last time. All the clothes I'm wearing now, they are clothes I have had since. Some of them I can't remember. I can't remember when I even bought them. It's been long. So what I'm trying to say to you is that clothing will not be part of what you are considering when you are talking about your basic needs. Do you understand? So, and it may be depending on what lifestyle you have. Okay, so now let's look at these three levels, these three positions. You already know where you fall into, Abi, out of these three positions. Are we together? Are we together with me? Yes. Okay, you already know where your position is out of these three positions. Now, I can confidently tell you that there is nobody in this room that is in the first position. Anybody in the first position, raise your hand. The first position, that your income is far ahead of your expenses? Raise your hand. Okay. Sorry? Okay, 2 people. Fine. Okay, 3. Okay, good. Which is fantastic. Which is fantastic. Now, that is good. Now, if your income is far ahead of your expenses, that means, let's say you make, I just want to give you as an example. You make 100K per month, for instance. And then let's say your expenses is around maybe maximum 70K. So what that means is that you have 30K savings every month. Are we together? Now, for those of you that said your expenses, your income is far ahead of your expenses, the next question I will ask you is how much excess do you have every month? Write it down. How much excess do you have every month? Write it down. That is if your income is ahead of your expense. So write it down. I want to help you arrive at something. So let's say that, have you written it down? Okay, so let's say that you make 100K every month and then you spend 70K every month. It means that you have 30K in savings every month. Okay? And in 12 months, how much do you have in your savings? 360. Sir? 360,000. Good. So now, for those of us that we say we have our saving, our income that are ahead of our expenses, you have written down the percentage excess that you have every month. Now, what month are we now? This is May. That is 5th month. Now, calculate that figure that you have as excess every month. Calculate it times 5. Calculate it times 5. Write down the figure and tell me whether you have up to that amount in your account now as savings. Have you done that? So how many of us have that amount in our savings? Good. None of us. So what that means, are we together? What that means is that your income is not truly ahead of your expenses. If you don't have that amount in your savings, what it means is that you have spent that money some other way. Are we together? Are we together? Alright. So why I gave us all those 3 positions is that those are the 3 positions anybody can be. And then in your quest to start, never forget this. I mentioned yesterday that anybody can be wealthy. Wealth is not made for some special set of people. But the first thing you have to tell yourself is you must believe that you can be wealthy. Because if you don't believe that something is possible, you will not make effort in the direction to making it happen. Do we understand? So wealth is a possibility for anybody that chooses to be wealthy. Wealth is a choice. Alright? Write it down. Wealth is simply a choice. And I told you yesterday, anybody can be wealthy if you know what to do. Alright? Now, in driving yourself in the direction of wealth, the first place to start is to identify which of these 3 positions you are in. Because if you don't know which of the position you are in, the formula and the recipe for wealth, we have different recipe for all these 3 positions. So you have to correctly identify where your position is before you can pick the right recipe that will work for you. Alright? So if your income is ahead of your expenses, that means you should have certain amount in savings. Alright? And savings is the basic, like we have in the education system, we have elementary, we have kindergarten. What are the levels that we have? Nursery, we have primary, we have secondary, and then we have tertiary, advanced, postgraduate, and all those things. There is something like that in building your wealth as well. And that principle applies everywhere, every aspect of life. Do you understand? Now, the kindergarten of creating wealth or becoming wealthy is based on how much money you save. Do you understand? So if you enter the school of wealth, the first thing that you probably learn is how to save money. So if you don't have savings, and if you are not saving, and when I mean savings, I'm not just talking about I have savings account. You have savings. If you have savings account that you are not operating, so I just gave you a very good way of looking at it. When I said, look at how much money, how much savings you have every month on your income. For those of us that we said we have our income ahead of our expenses, and then calculate that amount that you have in savings every month. Let's not even go to last year, let's not go to 2 years ago, let's not go to 3 years ago. Calculate it by 5 months. We are in the 5th month this year. Calculate it by 5 months. If you don't have that amount times 5 in your account now, it means you are not a saver. Alright? It means you have spent that money on some other things. And if that is the case, you are not yet putting your feet on the ladder of wealth. Do we understand that? So that's very important. So let me leave that alone. Let me come to the second position. The second position is my income and my expenses are just almost equal. Alright? If that is your position, and I said if that is your position, you may not immediately see that there is problem. But there is problem. Why? Because I gave us an analogy yesterday. In today's world, the reality on ground is that the things we spend money on, their value are increasing every day. And yet our income is not increasing at the same rate. So before you know what's happening, sooner or later you are going to find out that the things you are able to cater for with your income, with time, will reduce. So if that is you, it means a time will come that you will have to sacrifice certain things because your income will no longer be able to measure up with your expenses with time. It may be measuring up now, but with time, just give it some few months, give it some few years, it will be able to catch up again. Why? Because the rate at which things are increasing, the price of things are increasing is, alarming. Okay, so if that is you, what you need to do is, I said something yesterday, I'm not sure I'll be able to get there, I'm not sure how much time I have left, but if time permits us, maybe I will talk about it. I told us yesterday that as much as we are talking about dangers of salary, and salary in itself is not dangerous, but it is the relationship you build around your salary that can be dangerous. So that is where understanding the purpose of salary comes in. Okay? And let me just say now, I will not be able to go into details, but I will share with us now. The main reason, the main purpose of salary, if your salary, for those of us that we are salary earners, if your salary is going to be a blessing and not a curse, you must understand the purpose of salary. And the main purpose of salary is you must see your salary not as an end, but a means to an end. What do I mean? Your salary must not be seen as the destination, but it must be seen as a stepping stone into wealth. I will explain. Don't see your salary as something that is like a bus stop where you settle down, but you must see your salary as a tool to launch yourself into wealth. So what do I recommend? Because of my time, what do I recommend? I recommend that as you earn money every month, some people are in trouble because the only relationship they have with their salary is spend. Alright? If your salary, all you do with your salary is you spend all of your salary, then your salary is not going to be a blessing, it's going to be a curse. So what relationship should you have with your salary? You should have percentage of your income that is meant for spending, and percentage of your income that is meant for saving, and percentage of your income that is meant, investment into business and things like that. I'm not going to go into business. Mr. Dyer spoke to us about business yesterday, and we'll still hear more about business today. So let me not go into all that. Do we understand? How many of us have gotten something from what I shared so far? Okay, so if you are in the second position, where your salary, your income, and your expenses are just about the same amount, then what you want to do, you have to, two things you can do. You can either look for ways of reducing your expenses, or you look for ways of increasing your expenses, or increasing your income, which is one of the reasons why we are here. Do we understand? So in fact, I would recommend that you do the two. All right? Look for ways of reducing your expenses and look for ways of increasing your income. I don't want to go back to that. We have already said yesterday that one of the recipes for financial failure is having only one source of income. And we all understand that. So the next thing is, what more can I do to add to the income I'm making currently? I don't know if you understand. And depending on who you are, depending on your abilities, depending on your options, depending on your level of income for now, there are a wide variety of things that you can do. One of the things you can do to increase your sources of income is the Norland opportunity that we have presented to you, which is a good one. And I know many of you are going to take that opportunity. Now, I told you that apart from the money-making side of Norland business, one of the benefits that you will have is that it will allow you, it will put you in a situation whereby you begin to see yourself in a better light. You begin to discover things about yourself that you never thought was there, you never knew before. And that is very, very important. Self-discovery is a major key to wealth creation. Self-discovery is a major key to wealth creation. Please write it down. You understand? Discovery of your natural abilities, of your gifts, of your weaknesses, knowing your weaknesses, knowing your strength, they are very, very key in becoming wealthy. If you don't understand all these things, you may find yourself having to struggle and things like that. So, let me quickly talk about the third position. The third position is a situation whereby your income is far lesser than your expenses. And what that means is that if you look at people in that category, if that is your position, if you also look at your life, you will find out that you are in debt. It means you've been borrowing to live. Are we together? So for you, it's a different plan that's going to work. The first plan that you must focus on is getting out of debt. Okay, so you have to come up with a plan. So you can't be wealthy if you are in debt. Do you understand? It is not possible. And when I say in debt, you must understand that debt has dimensions. Dangote is in debt, but it's not that kind of debt I'm talking about. Abi, when somebody borrows 25 million naira from bank to do business, in fact, before bank can give you 25 million naira as a loan, they know that you have the capacity to pay back. So it is not that kind of debt I'm talking about. But I'm talking about borrowing to live. Okay? Borrowing money to eat, borrowing money to pay your rent. It's that kind of debt I'm talking about. So if you are in that kind of category, the first thing that you must focus on is how you are going to get out of that position. How you are going to pay all your debts, and then you come to a place where you can now begin to have your expenses lesser than your income, and then you can begin to save. Now, let me be true and honest with you. The opportunity we presented yesterday at Norland, we were told that the minimum amount that you can use to join is how much? The minimum amount is 87,000. Right? 87,000. Let's be honest with ourselves. There are some of you here that 87,000 naira, you are interested in the business, but that money, you don't have it, except you want to go and steal. Am I lying? Okay, so we are just being realistic. So for you, so you are interested in Norland and things like that. For some of you, the next practical thing to do is to look at, okay, how can I reduce my expenses and save? Maybe you save a month, or some of you will save 2 months before you can arrive at that figure, and then you come and do Norland, and then you increase your income making opportunity. So what we are teaching is reduce your expenses, increase your income channels. Okay, increase your income channels as much as possible. So I think we are getting something here. Now, if you have identified your position, then the next thing is a plan to get out of that position, to move to the next position. If you are in the third position, as you begin to work out the plan that works for that position, you will soon find yourself in the second position. And then as you begin, then when you find yourself in the second position, then you pick up a new plan that is meant for the second position. And then as you begin to apply that plan, you find yourself in the first position. Then when you get to the first position, a new plan entirely will come into play. And then you can begin to. So I told you yesterday that you can plan your wealth. Wealth is not, the reason why some people are stumbling on this thing called wealth is because they think it is something that will happen suddenly. Any wealth that you get suddenly will also go away suddenly. Yes. That's why you see some people win jackpots. They win lottery. Come and look at them in 5 years' time. They are back in poverty. So wealth is something that is built. Wealth, so give yourself time. Don't put yourself under pressure. Don't be in haste. Once you understand the principle and you are working it is going to work. But where many of us are going to have issues is what I call discipline. Like I told you, every of these three stages have different plan to apply. But once you identify your stage and then you pick up a plan, not many people will be disciplined enough to work that plan. Are we together? Wealth creation requires a lot of discipline. It requires you following a plan, and it requires discipline. Do we understand? Now, when you pick up a plan, let me take the first stage as an example. Let's say you are now in a place where you now have income that is more than your expenses, and then you can save. But you see, if you don't have a plan at that level, it becomes easy to waste the excess. You must understand the purpose of the excess that you have and how to utilize the excess to create more wealth. But if you are not following any plan and you are not disciplined, even when you are given a plan, you are not disciplined to follow the plan, then you find yourself in the same circle over and over and over again. Do we understand? Now, what you want to do, because I'm not going to talk about it now, even though there are many opportunities. Yes, there are many opportunities, but I don't want to talk about the opportunity we have brought in this seminar is Norland. Okay, so let's leave it at that. But one of the key factors for wealth creation is many of the opportunities that will make you wealthy. By the time you are meeting that opportunity, you also need some capital or some finances to be able to key into those opportunities. For example, we have presented Norland to you now. What difference will it make if you have the money in your savings that you can use to say, okay, I want to register now? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. And you key to the opportunity and then you move on from there. There will be many opportunities like that that will come your way. different times. But if you don't have the financial base to key into those opportunities, you will find out that making wealth will be difficult. Do we understand? So at this point, I want us to ask maybe one or two persons to ask questions, and then we wrap up this session, and then we allow you to some breathing space and some thinking time to apply some of these we've learned. Anybody questions? I want to take one or two questions now.
Please, let's take question is going now. Let's take any question you want to ask. Financial intelligence, breaking for dependence on salary, dangers of source of income, one source of income. Let's ask him now is going. So let's
any question?
Thank you very much. My question is simple. You said, what of in the position whereby one finds himself that the expenses is higher than the income? What then do you do? That is one. Two, in a position you find yourself that your income is even more higher than your expense, having your own contribution. You know, that's supposed to be 100,000.
Now you should ask me, why am I saving? Okay, I have excess. Because if you are in the category 1, where your income is more than your expense, that means you have excess. Then you must define for yourself what is the purpose for that excess. Because if you don't define what the purpose of the excess is, it becomes easy to waste it on things that don't matter. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So now, the truth of the matter is, saving money in the bank nowadays, we don't know what is going on with the economy. If you put 100,000 in the bank in January and you withdraw it in December, what you are withdrawing in value is actually less than the 100 naira you put in January because of inflation and rising cost of things. Do you understand? Because let's say you are planning to buy something and you are saving towards it. You price it in January, they say it's 100,000, and you are saving. By the time that money reaches 100,000 and you go there, they can tell you it is now 120,000. So I understand where you are coming from. But you see, the way I will answer that question is, when you are saving must always be onto a purpose. And that purpose, in context of wealth creation, that purpose is so that you can be able to take on investment and wealth creation opportunities. Most wealth creation opportunities, you need money to do them. You have come for this seminar and they say, Norland, minimum package, 87,000. If you don't have the money, there is nothing you can do. And then you continue in that second point. So if you don't have the money, there is nothing you can do, and you continue at that same level that you have been. But if you have that, if you have that money at that time, and you put that money down, you'll be saving. You put that money down and you join Norland. You understand? Then all the things they told you Norland will do for you, all the benefits and the things they have told you, by the time you start coming back into your life, do you understand? You have used the savings that you had to buy yourself a better life. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So that's one of the purpose of wealth, or one of the purpose of savings. Do you understand? But if you think you will save money in the bank and keep saving money in the bank to arrive at wealth, you are joking. So the purpose of wealth is so that you can have capital to invest, so that you can have capital to put into. When I need to invest, it doesn't mean to do Norland alone. It doesn't mean to start a business alone. I told you about something that God has put in you that can create wealth. By the time some of you discover those things, you will, in the process of trying to bring it out to the place where it is generating wealth for you, you will need some money to polish it, either you do some adverts or whatever. You understand? But if you don't have the basic cash to run those things, you keep staying at that level. Do we understand? So that's why I said the purpose of salary must be understood. When you understand the purpose of salary and you apply it, you know that salary basically is not meant for spending. Salary is for you to accumulate some amount so that you can get to a place where you have enough money to invest in things that has the ability to bring you out of poverty. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So that is the way I will answer that question. I hope it answered your question, Sanjay.
One more question here.
Okay, how many people still have questions? Let me know now so that I can coordinate and say one. You have 1, 2. Okay, 2 people. Alright, so let's hear from him.
As regarding being a student.
Can you use the mic? Please put the camera on and show the mic.
Like being a student now, we're talking about savings and the likes. And basically we receive money from home as regards to our expenses of students. And we all know the financial crisis in the country is all about. Then how would we actually aim at investing or actually saving, by which you actually saving the basic unit of wealth? And also as regarding being, there are quite a lot of courses that you can take in university that you don't have any time for your life or something. Like being a medical student now and you hardly have anything else to do. The only thing you just do is reading and reading and reading. Though, then how do such things apply and how can you actually make work? All right, that process.
Yeah, I get your question. Very valid question. 2 questions. The first question is, how do you, if I help you put it correctly, let me have the other one. If I want to put it correctly for you, you are asking, how can you start building wealth as a student? That's one. The second one is, how do you even connect to all of these things if you are a student that is using a course that doesn't give you time to do anything else? Right. Good. Now, the first thing that I'll let me answer the second question before I answer the first one. Let me tell you this. Anything that tells you that because you are a student, you don't have time to do any other thing is a lie. Alright? It's a lie, and I can tell you from experience. Whether you are a medical student or you are a law student or whatever it is not possible. You see, let me tell you, that's one of the problems. I was telling you about ISAP yesterday. That's one of the problems ISAP is built to address. So we'll talk about that later. But you see, the truth of the matter is, I run a program that helps undergraduates overcome unemployment ahead of graduation. This is part of the problem. They have made you, your lecturers, your professors, they have made you to believe that because you are a medical student, you should not have time for any other thing. It is a lie. And if you believe them and you follow that kind of thinking, you will find out that by the time you graduate, you will not only be poor, it will be difficult for you. Let me tell you, if you are which part medical student? Part 2, okay. I will give you somebody's contact. He's a medical student in OE. He's in, he should be in his 500 or 600 level now. His name is Michael. He said, you know Michael, Abby? You know Michael? Michael did our program ISAP when he was in part 1. You understand? As I'm talking to you now, Michael has a company. He has not graduated. He has a company that's making a lot of money. He's a medical student. So you can choose to tell yourself that because you are a student. And let me quickly say is that when I look at a typical student's life, one of the major reasons why many people say I graduate, I can't get a job, is because when they are in the school, they tend to over-focus on academics alone. Okay? If you spend the 4 years of your life focusing only on academics, by the time you graduate, you will have a lot of problems with life generally. You know why? Life is multidimensional. Your life is not about academics alone. So if you neglect every other aspect of life and you focus on academic alone for 5 years, by the time you graduate, you will discover that you have had a major setback in other areas. You may be an academic giant, but you will be a dwarf in all other areas, and then you will struggle. Do you understand? So don't allow yourself to invite that life. Plan your life. There is a book I will recommend for you. There is a book I don't have it here, but I will recommend for you. So maybe I'll find a way of getting it across to you. If you read that book, it will tell you how to be a grade A student and then how to do other things. Sorry? I don't worry, I'll tell you. I can't remember now. I can't remember, but I have it at home. It is written by Dr. Ken Yodeni, but don't worry, I'll get you the book. So do we understand that? Does that answer that question for you? So it's a lie, don't believe it. Once you believe it, you have already set yourself on the path of, don't let me mention it. Okay? Now the second question is, you are a student, you collect stipend from home, you are not working yet. Good. You see, I will answer that question building on what I said earlier. If you told yourself you won't think you can make money as a student because you are a student, no other thing must be happening in your life. Do you understand? I just gave you an example of somebody who is a medical student, and in fact, the last time I had a project, I wanted to build. Mr. Lai, I was telling you about the MLM platform. He's someone that can do it. By the time I contacted him, I was ready to pay any amount he would mention. But he told me, he said, the amount of work he has on his hand, that it won't be good for him to be collecting other projects. I was ready to pay, but he can't take more jobs. He has enough jobs, and yet he's a student. Do you understand? That kind of a person. But you see, the last time I saw the laptop he's using, can pay some people's annual salary. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not exaggerating. I will give you his contact. You will meet him. You will talk to him. He's still a student. So, do we understand that? So, I believe those two have answered your question, right? So good. But I believe we'll talk more. Do we understand?
I've heard people saying you can make money without money. Okay. Now, you have said that the basic unit of saving or creating wealth is saving. My question is there any other way that you can create wealth without money, without saving?
Yeah.
Considering the situation around that, probably I said it might be very difficult for somebody who is a salary earner to save with the situation of things in this country. How do we create wealth without out of no money?
Yeah. Good question. Now, what you just said is very possible. There are some things, not everything. There are some things that you can make money from without you necessarily having to invest money in it. But those things are not many. And most of the time, the money you end up getting from it is also going to be something little. I will give you two examples of how something like that can work. Like all these things are in the book I wrote that I told you about, the trap called salary. Now, the first thing that you can do, they call it OPM, other people's money. Okay. Now I did it for somebody some times ago. I did a training on importation from China and some other places. You understand? And then what did the person do? Put up an advert that okay, you want to buy this product, and then you can get people to order. He spoke to a few people and said, okay, I can get you some of these materials at this also amount. He already calculated how much profit he was going to do. And those people gave him money. Do you understand? And then he bought the goods with their money, not his own money. And then he gave them their goods, took his profit. Do you understand? Took his profit, and then was able to raise some money from there. And then before you know what is happening, but you see, it would have been a different matter entirely if he had enough capital, he himself had enough capital to invest in the business. So it is very, very possible. Another thing another way you can make money like that is that you look for people that have certain needs, and then you look for people that have the solution, and then you be the middleman. Have an arrangement with the solution provider, and then when you bring the people that need the solution to them, you already agree on what your own commission is going to be. Do you understand? So these are some of the ways you can make money without having money. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it is very possible. And most generally, it's not something we can discuss today. They call it opinion. But it's another kind of training entirely. But one thing I need to say is that such options, it's not the best way to approach wealth building, because it limits the option that you have. My time is overstretched. So this is what I'm going to do. One, if you have any other question, we are creating a forum and a platform for this event, for those people that came yesterday and people that are here today. So if you have anything you want to clarify, or you need assistance in any other way, you can always reach out to Mr. Dio, reach out to any of the organizers. We will be there to assist. You understand? Beyond now. And then I'll personally give you my own phone number, so in case you want to clarify another thing, and then we can do that, because our time is already gone. So 080-522-75346, 080-522-75346. You can chat me on WhatsApp, and then if you want that, I'm not here to market the book, but if you want it, I know it's something that can help you. The track called salary. There are many things that you will learn. The phone number 080-522-75346, 080-522-75346. So
how much is the book? And how can they get it?
Okay, the book is 2,000, but if you are in this seminar, I will give you for 1,000. But I'm not just interested in you buying the book, because I told you that following a plan. So what I'm interested in doing for you, if you want to buy the book, is I'm interested in taking you through a program. But if you want the book, you read the book first, and then we now help you to go through some of the process that we have put in the book. So if you contact me, I already give you my phone number. If you contact me, whether for the book or for any other thing, Mathew is my name. Thank you very much. So.
Sorry, I just got the number. Is the book available right now?
The book is not here in physical, it's e-copy that we have.
Okay.
So it's not in printed.
When are we likely to get the book?
Chat me up, I'll send you the link.
Once you have your details on the registration desk, don't worry, carry your.
So I want to appreciate the organizer of this event.